Hello. I don't know why I'm not the right way. Let's try this. There we go. So much better. Technology, gotta love it. Hi, this is another edition of Frequently Asked Question Friday. I'm really excited about this topic because I feel like it comes up a lot. And it comes up in many stages of the process. So that's why I think it's applicable no matter if you have not done your first discovery meeting or if you've been doing this successfully for years and years. Because if you have been successful, you will come across this issue. And that is when some part of the process is just taking a little bit longer than you're wanting it to take. Maybe it is the discovery to the proposal. Maybe it's getting from the proposal to then the account agreeing to work through implementation or actually starting their account. Or maybe it is actual implementation. You've had that account, they have gotten started, but you're not seeing the sales. Maybe they placed their initial order and they've yet to place another order. Or it's drip, drip, drip. Every time you're in, they're placing an order. But if you're not there, then nothing's happening. Does this feel like you? And does it feel like sometimes you're saying, I met with you back in May. It is September right now. Where has the time gone? What do I do? Well, I have 3 tips to tell you how to stay on track when you feel like the process is just dragging out. When you feel like you're putting together the whole recipe, but for some reason it's not coming together. And if you do feel like that, just know you're not alone. I hear this. This is why this is one of the frequently asked question Friday topics. I hear this especially around this time where we're transitioning in seasons. We're going right now, if you're watching this live, we're in September. And so we're going from the summer into now fall, school, getting back in and gearing up for I think one of the biggest quarters of every year for sales. And so when we're looking at that, there's a lot of changes that are going on, but you might say, wait a second, we haven't met in so long. What do I do now? It felt like the summer we weren't creating that momentum that I hoped to create by the time that we got to this point, by the time we got to right here. So what do? Well, these are my best 3 tips to help you stay on track so you know what to do. And the first one is to have faith. I don't want you to write people off so quickly. Hey, Dad, how are you? I don't want you to write people off. And it's funny, Dad, that you just came and joined us right now because you were actually my first example. And I wasn't going to reveal this, but since you're on here, I have to say that when I got started, I heard this a lot, where you fail fast. I don't know if you've heard this, or, a lot of times we'll listen to audios and what we might pick up on is where we say, well, that person didn't qualify. Next, let's move on, right? And that's something that it's really nice to be able to pick yourself up from your bootstraps and say, it wasn't me, it was them. This isn't going not because of anything that I'm doing, but because that person wasn't the right fit. Right? Isn't that really easy? But what I want you to do is I want you to trust the process. And if you feel like in your gut that's the right person, I want you to trust the process. I want you to have faith. Sometimes it's the best accounts that take so long. You might get lucky, you might sign someone up. I felt like I got really lucky. Somehow I convinced my dad to open up his account. Okay, I didn't convince him. If you've heard my story, I took his credit card and I registered him in my college dorm room. He got a package. I'm not even really sure if he knew if he was in or out. I just told him he was going to get the products a little bit cheaper. Thanks, Dad. Yeah, trust the process. And it took us 2.5 years before, my first account, which was my dad, was even comfortable saying to his patients, what multivitamin brand that his family took. It took a while before those orders started coming in. And so now when I know if an account's not moving as quickly, I just think back. And I hope if you don't have that kind of story, I just want you to think about it. That, sometimes it's easy to register that account. It's not that much money, right? One $59.95. I mean, it's not that much for a health professional to get started. A lot of people spend more on, dinner. I have shoes that are more than a registration for a health professional account. And what I think about, though, is how to get that to keep going is to trust the process and to stay with it. It takes time to change habits. It does. And not all practitioners, not all people, it doesn't matter if we're talking about a nutraMetrix consultant or a health professional account, not everyone's ready to change those habits right away. I mean, let's face it. Did you embrace the shopping annuity right away? Do you get paid on your gas yet? Do you have any gift cards in your wallet yet that you've purchased off of shop.com for those in-store purchases? All right, JR says, maybe he's been a little slow, but you've been a little slow too. So I just want you to keep that in mind. So my first tip is to trust the process. Hey, Linda, I'm just looking at my notes. My second tip is to talk less, listen more. I want you to think about that. Talk less and listen more. So if you feel like you did a discovery meeting and you did this 6 weeks ago, and now you have to go back in and you think that it's the proposal that you're doing, no, you're not going in and doing the proposal. You're going in, you need to listen again. And you need to keep listening until you get this right. Be true to patients and help them with what they want. That's true. I'm not sure which step that applies to. Talk less, listen more. All right, thank you. Yeah. And so this is going to be, if you did a discovery and you're going into the proposal, or from the proposal to the implementation, or you're going back into an account that hasn't had a lot of activity and you want to go back in, I really want you to talk less and listen more. And remember that. It is a lot more fun to work with the accounts that are moving weekly with you, that are going at a more rapid, consistent, regular interval and speed. And those are the ones that you're going to want to spend your time with. You just have to figure out who is ready to go now with you and find those people. And you're not going to do that unless you use these two things and you listen and you figure it out. And so if you feel like you're stuck, and I'm there in an account right now, I felt like they were hot. They were ready to go. And then all of a sudden, I went on vacation, they went on vacation, things changed a little bit. I am going to go back in. When I go in next week, I have my appointment set up. We're going to redo a discovery appointment. You know what? They're already an account. We've already done the discovery, the proposal, the implementation. Something is not working, and I feel like I'm missing that why. Because when you can solve that burning desire, that burning why for that account, you will see that consistent action. You will see that account continuously move forward. Make it consistent and make it fun. It has to be fun. If you're not having fun, you're definitely doing something wrong. So first one is just trust the process. Second is you're going to talk less and listen more. Because when you find that hot button, when you find that problem that you can solve, there's so many times that I talked to NCs and got out of a discovery and you don't know what to do for the proposal. And I said, well, what do they want? And you're like, I don't know, I didn't ask. What do you mean you didn't ask what they wanted? What do you mean you didn't ask what they were looking for? You can go through that checklist, but if you don't really get that sense of what that practitioner, what that account, what that NC, what problem you're solving for them, you're not going to know what to do next. Nothing you're going to bring in is going to be exciting enough for them. This is really personalized and customized. That's what we do as nutraMetrix consultants. All right, my tip number 3 for you. You're going to need more beans. You need more beans in your bean jar. If you feel like things aren't moving fast enough for you, maybe they're not moving fast enough for you, then you need to put more people in the funnel so you are moving quickly with the people that you are working with. Now, it doesn't mean that these people don't disappear. You don't write them off necessarily, unless you really get that gut feeling. But if you have it in your gut that this could be a good account, because nutraMetrix is a longer sales cycle for some. Fill the bean jar. But when you have the right person, it goes rapid fire. And you might have the right person, but they're kind of stagnant for a while. And then all of a sudden, because you're patient and you've trusted the process, you see all of a sudden they're ready to go because you listened. Because you listened to them. Because you had what they wanted. But you need those beans. I hear people and they say, okay, I just had a great proposal. And I'll go, okay, what's next? Well, our implementation meeting is in 2 weeks. Okay, so what are you doing tomorrow? You're out of a job, dude. If you don't have meetings, if you don't have your appointment book filled, you're not working this like a professional. This is a hobby for you. That's okay. Just be true to yourself. Just know that you're not going to expect to make business income. You're going to expect to make hobby income. If your calendar is not full like a professional because you don't have enough beans, that's a direct correlation to the money that you're going to make. And so I just want you to remember that. So if you feel like it's not progressing the way that you want it to go, I want you to trust. I want you to listen to what's right in here in your gut. Listen to who you like to work with. Who's fun? Who has a why? Who has that burning desire? And you'll get that because you're going to listen more than you're going to talk. And then I really want you also to continue to cultivate and put those beans in the jar. Thank you so much, Dad, for being my #1 fan throughout this entire process. I learned a lot from working with him, working with both of my parents, and sometimes I think that although I've had the most fun with my parents, a lot of times that's where I learned, one, what not to do, and two, really this whole process of, I just kept waiting. I probably, rested on those laurels of registering my first account for maybe 3 years. And I just kept feeling like maybe they'll do something, And I just don't want that to happen to you, because you can see success so much faster if you're trusting the process, if you're listening more than you're talking, and if you keep your bean jar full. If you feel like this is something that you need to continue to hear, I really highly suggest that you stay plugged in, stay consistent. I was just talking to a girlfriend of mine, and we're in parallel industries, and she just got back from her first live training in this space of online health and wellness. She had never been to anything in person. And I was like, so what now, right? Like, you have to go consistently. She was like, oh my gosh, like 2-3 times a year minimum to keep this up, because you'll feel like an imposter most of the days, and then you'll go to a training, you'll get that boost, that, volt million of a, what does JR say? If someone can write it in, that volt that goes across your mind, that energy, that boost that you need, and that will fuel you for the next 4 to 6 months. So our next training, if you're watching this in September, live is in September in Richmond, Virginia. That's going to be the best training because it's the next training. And if you haven't been in 4 to 6 months, maybe you want to consider plugging back in. If this is what you need, if you need this in-person live jolt of energy, I hope to see you there. Make it a great Friday. My name is Sarah Tugender. I'm your National Sales Manager, hoping to make this your most effective and efficient year yet with nutraMetrix. If you have a question that you'd like to see featured on an edition like this of Frequently Asked Question Friday, send an email in to nutraMetrix@nutrametrix.com with the subject line Frequently Asked Question Friday. Thanks again.